Chapter 1, Lesson 4, Ratio Tables. Our content and language target today. Content, students will be able to understand that rate can be examined using a rate table. How they'll do that today is our language target. Students will demonstrate their understanding of rates by using rate tables to find the unit rate. So when we look at equivalent ratios, it says the quantities in the opening activity can be organized into a table. This table is called a ratio table because the columns are filled with pairs of numbers that have the same ratio. So when they say the same ratio, that means that they are multiplying each by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So that's where we get our ratio table, and that's why it's called an equivalent ratio, because it expresses the same relationship between the quantities, because I'm always multiplying by 3. So to look at our first example, it says to make yellow frosting, you must mix 6 drops of yellow food coloring with 1 cup of white icing. How much yellow food coloring should you mix with 5 cups of white frosting to get the same shade? So as I look at our example, I need to know, what do I do to go from 1 to 5? So since my number is getting larger, I need to know, what can I multiply by 1 to get 5? Well, that's going to be 5. So to make this an equivalent ratio, whatever I do to the bottom number, I have to do to the top number. This makes it equivalent or equal. Sorry, that's a 5. So I multiply 6 times 5, which is 30. I would need 30 cups of yellow icing to make the same ratio or the same color. And example number 2, it says, in a recent year, Joey Chestnut won a hot dog eating contest by eating nearly 66 hot dogs in 12 minutes. If he ate at a constant rate, determine about how many hot dogs he ate every 2 minutes. So what we can do here is we've got several boxes, but we don't need them all because we're looking at how many he ate in 2 minutes. So if I look at my numbers, what do I have to do to go from 12 to 2? Well, my numbers are getting smaller. That tells me I need to divide. So what can I divide by 12 to get 2? Well, I know that 2 times 6 is 12. So 6 must be what I'm dividing by. So whatever I do to the bottom number, I have to do the same thing to my top number. Because as an equivalent ratio, we have to do the same thing to the top and bottom. If your sisters or brothers get candy, don't you think you should get candy too? It's only fair. So take 66 divided by 6, and I know that 6 goes into 6 once, and 6 goes into 6 once. So that means in 2 minutes, he eats approximately 11 hot dogs. So let's look at our got it problems down below. It says A patient receives 1 liter of IV fluids every 8 hours. At that rate, how many hours will it take to receive 4 liters of fluid? So here's our ratio, 1 to 8. 1 liter gets 8 hours. So we want to know how long you have to be in the hospital to get 4 liters. So let's look at our two numbers. What can I multiply? My numbers are getting larger. So what can I multiply by 1 to get 4? Right, that would be 4. So whatever I do to my top number, I have to do the same thing to my bottom. So I'm going to multiply 8 times 4. If I know my facts, that's 8, 16, 24, 32. Same ratio because we multiplied by the same number. Let's look at letter B. To make cranberry jam, you need 12 cups of sugar for every 16 cups of cranberries. Find the amount of sugar needed for 4 cups of cranberries. Excuse me. So again, same thing. We're not going down to 1, but I do notice that my numbers are getting smaller. I'm going from 16 cups of cranberries to 4. I'm not going to have that many people come over for Thanksgiving dinner, so I don't have to make so much. So what can I divide, because my numbers are getting smaller, what can I divide by 16 to get 4? Well, I know that 4 times 4 is 16, so we're going to divide by 4. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I divide 12 divided by 4. And 12 divided by 4, that's 4, 8, 12, that is 3. So for every 4 cups of cranberries, I get 3 cups of sugar. So here's another example. It says cans of corn are on sale at $10 for 10 cans for $4. Find the cost of 15 cans. So when I look, what I can do is a couple different things. What I would do is I would find out how much it is for 1 can. Okay, so if I want 1 can, I'm going from 10 to 1. That means my numbers are getting less or smaller, so I have to divide. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So I'm going to do the same thing down below. I'm going to divide 4 by 10. And I'm going to use my calculator here. So I have 4 divided by 10. And I get 0.4. So what that's saying is that's 40 cents for 1 can. But I want 15 cans. So now I want to multiply because my number is getting larger, 1 to 15. 1 times 15 is 15. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to multiply that 40 cents times 15. I go back to my calculator. I have 0.4. Let's multiply that by 15. And that tells me my answer is 6. It's going to cost $6 to buy 15 cans of corn. Let's look at another example. It says Joe mows lawns during his summer vacation to earn money. He took 14 hours last week to mow 8 lawns. At this rate, how many lawns could he mow in 49 hours? So, again, there's my middle box as I set up my table. So what I can do is I want to find out how many lawns he can mow in 1 hour. So, again, my ratio table, I'm going from 14 to 1. That means I have to divide. I have to divide by 14 because 14 divided by 14 is 1. Has to be the same number. So I do the same thing here. I take 8 and I divide that by 14. So let me go back to my calculator. I take 8 divided by 14 and I get 0.57142857142. So it's a repeating decimal. But I'm going to leave that there because I know. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to put 0.57. So that's how long it takes. It's a little over half of an hour. So now I want to know how many lawns I can do in 49 hours. So again, I go from 1 to 49. So I have to multiply 1 times 49 is 49. So I take that same number and I multiply it by 49. So I go back to my calculator. There's my number. I'm not going to change anything. And I'm simply going to go multiply by 49 and equal, and it tells me 28. So in 49 hours, he can go and mow 28 yards. So the last one, it says Lamika buys 12 packs of juice boxes that are on sale and pays a total of $48. You should ratio table to determine how much Lamika will pay to buy 8 more packs of juice at the same store. So we have the number of juice boxes. How many boxes did she buy? She bought 12. How much did she pay for that? Well, she paid $48. So we want to know how much it will pay to buy 8 more. So I need 8 more boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how much one box is. So to find out how much 1 is, I have to go from 12 to 1. My number is getting smaller, so that means I have to divide. What do I divide by 12 to get 1? That's right, that's 12. So then I do the same thing to my bottom number. I take 48, I divide that by 12. Go back to my calculator. 48 divided by 12 is 4. So I know that it's $4 for one juice box. Now I want to know how many is 8. So I go from 1 to 8. My number is getting larger, so I multiply. What do I multiply by 1 to get 8? It's the same number, which is 8. So I go back down to the bottom number and I do the same thing. And I multiply by 8. So when I multiply, 4 times 8 is 32. So it's going to cost $32 for 8 boxes of juice.